Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Mr. V Teaches Math. In today's edition, what we're going to be looking at is another combination of lessons where we're going to be reading and drawing circle graphs. And so what I thought I would do is just show you that these are the goals: to read and calculate data from the circle graph, and then to draw one. What I did was I sort of took what was in the textbook and I modified it a little bit, and I found this number off Stats Canada. No, sorry, not off Stats Canada, off the Tourism Canada Ministry website. And what I saw was that tourists actually spend $12.3 billion in Canada every year. On the next page I'm going to show you, I've actually seen the graph about where the money goes and what sort of percents they spend on things. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to take the percents of the circle graph and find out actually how much money that is. So here's the graph that I'm going to show you. This is the graph of where the money goes when tourists spend money, where they spend money. And so they spend 8% of the money on groceries, 24% on transportation, 20% on accommodation, that means where they stay, 23% on restaurants, 16% on shopping, and then 9% on recreation. So that's things like, I don't know, skiing, snowboarding, biking, going for walks, whitewater rafting, whatever kind of recreation, what kind of stuff they do to kick back and unwind. So we can actually take these numbers, these percentages, and find out how much of that $12.3 billion pie this is. Because that's what this represents. This represents $12.3 billion. And so you'll be asked questions like, you know, if the Pacific Ocean takes up 49% of the world's ocean, how many square kilometers is that if the total area of the oceans is 335,710,000 kilometers squared? And I'll show you steps today to figure out how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with groceries. Hopefully I have enough room on this page. And we're going to actually we're going to find out basically what 8% of 12,300,000,000 is. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's 12.3 billion. Okay, so we're doing percent problems. So hopefully you paid attention during the percent unit. And so the way this works is we convert the percent to a decimal, of to a times, and then I don't like drawing all those zeros, so I'm going to do something a little sneaky. I'm going to use something called scientific notation, which I haven't talked to you guys at all about. But this is a quicker way to write 12.3 billion, 1.23 times 10 to the power of 10. And I'll zoom in on that a little bit so you can see a little bit better what I'm writing out. So I've written out 1.23 times 10 to the 10, which is another way of writing this number. Basically take the numbers that aren't zero, put a decimal after the first one, and then count the number of decimal places after the decimal, and then you write that as a power of 10. And so anyway, if I bust out my calculator, the reason I'm doing this in scientific notation is that my calculator can't actually display billions, or at least tens of billions. They can display, I think, a billion. So I take 1.23 times 10 to the power of 10, and then multiply that by 8%, and that gives me this number, 98400. 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, I don't typically use commas, but that represents $984 million. That means that tourists spend $984 million on groceries at our supermarkets, which is a lot of money. So transportation is the next one, and I want to find out 24% of 12,300,000,000. So 24% is going to be a lot larger than this. And again, decimal equivalent times scientific notation. So 1.23 times 10 to the power of 10 times 24% is 2,952,000,000. They spend that much on getting around in Canada. Okay. Next one, accommodation. And that's 20% of 12,300,000,000. And so that's 0.2 times 12 billion, 300 million. And again, I do it with my trusted calculator. So that's $2 billion, 460 million on where to sleep at night. Okay. Over the page, we have restaurants, and that's 23% of that number. And so it's decimal equivalent, multiplication, 12 billion, 300 million. Get out the calculator. Which is $2 billion, 829 million. Then there is shopping. That's 16%. I'm actually just going to skip right to the decimal equivalent scientific notation just to save a wee little bit of time. Oops. 1.23 is 10 to the power of 10 times 16% is 1,968 million. And lastly, recreation is 9% of that. There we go. And that is $1,107,000,000. So, my goodness, the money gets split up quite a number of different ways. And so that's how to take circle graphs. I'll zoom out again. That's how to take circle graphs and calculate how big the slice of the pie is. Percentages, and then find decimal equivalents, and then do some multiplication. Okay, so hope that helps. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys.